What exactly is going on in your People's Democratic Party, the PDP? There seems to be some trouble brewing inside that political party. Of late, we have seen defections of governors from your party. We are now seeing 7 members of the National Executive Committee leaving the party, and also a prominent former member of the Board of Trustee. What exactly is the problem with the PDP?
Well, thank you for finding time to ask me this question. It is the same questions I have been asking those who are leaders and stakeholders of the party, those who are the founders of the party. And my initial worry, has now come, to the fore. I have been vindicated one way or the other, because 3 months ago when I raised alarm that it is very important for us to retool, rejig, and reposition the PDP to be able to play its formidable role as an integral part of our democratic process in the opposition. People called me names. Oh, he's being sponsored. Nobody wanted to listen to my message. They were attacking the messenger. They were calling me inconsequential. I'm a nobody, I'm a low ranger, all kinds of names. But that was not my, intention. My intention was to raise alarm to the point of waking up the big elephant from slumber. PDP has every capacity to take over government in 2023 through the ballot box if we're able to put our hearts together. And by putting our hearts together, meaning that we have to buy into the aspiration, the collective aspiration of Nigerians who are fed up with the All Progressive Congress underperforming government. If you look at all the statistics from 2015 till now, the APC has led Nigeria into complete negative. I can't see one area where it is positive. If you have one, you tell me. There is infrastructural decay. Insecurity is worst under this government. Unemployment rose from 8% in 2015 to 33% as we speak. Is getting to 33.8%. Now, you have kidnapping as the fastest growing industry in Nigeria. Even the governor did not say it's business. It is a business for the people. You have armed banditry that is now taking the shape of terrorism. So, you have governors going to the forest to negotiate with criminals. That is the country being led by APC. So, as an opposition, we have enough arsenal to relaunch the country on the path of allowing the people all trying to talk to Nigerians to look in our direction. But the leadership suddenly went into inertia. And when you are in a point of inertia, it is no activity. You are just lost in terms of ideas, in terms of focus, in terms of creativity, in terms of proactiveness. You are lost in the wilderness of ideas. And in contemporary times under a democratic dispensation, ideas drive the world. How much of time have you created to sit down with people, with your leaders, members, and opinion holders, to come out with blueprints that will be a direct response to what is going on? You don't have to see people, meeting and, brainstorming on ideas. So this is why, that was why I raised alarm. What I said 3 months ago, the party is now seeing very obvious. So are those members who resigned their membership of the National Executive Committee are making a statement of rejecting the national chairman leadership and saying that it's a vote of no confidence. And in an ideal situation, I was expecting that Uche Secondus would just honorably resign. To save the party, he shouldn't talk about his ego. It's about the office he occupies. Don't forget, I'm also in EFCC with them. Investigation is still ongoing, I can tell you that. They are trying to paper it, cover it up. No. There is need, as a Nigerian, for me to raise concerns over, issues of finances. If I see that there are traces of money laundering in the transactions in PDP, I have a right to raise alarm. And I've raised the alarm, and EFCC is looking into the matter. So that is where we are. Now, the leaders of the party have woken up. Board of Trustees meeting. Governor Soro is meeting. NWC is meeting. Even the NEC, that's National Executive Committee, they are going to meet sometimes next week.
You spoke about amnesia or
inertia.
Yeah. Yes. How did the People's Democratic Party, a political party that ruled Nigeria for 16 years, come to this point?
And I think, it's quite unfortunate is the quality of the leadership that was appointed or elected on December 9, 2017. The quality of that leadership is not what should move, the contemporary narratives in the 21st century, Nigeria. And if you look, I keep asking the same question. If you ask the leadership what is our blueprint on insecurity, if we are given power today, how do we respond to the insecurity in the country? What are we going to say? We don't have a blueprint. If they say, how do we stop kidnapping? Where's our blueprint? So you cannot surrender your aims and aspirations in the hands of aspirants who will come, and you'll be using their document when you don't have one to market to Nigerians, knowing full well that the Constitution provides that political party shall sponsor a candidate. So, if you have a manifesto, please come up with the ideas. If your manifesto needs retooling, repositioning, please let's do that. Let's begin to brainstorm in a holistic manner. But for you to sit back, hands akimbo, watching scenarios happening, issue statements, long, unwieldy statements, well, we are not doing this, we are doing that. My friend, that is not what Nigerians want now. Nigerians need to hear a formidable voice that will represent the alternative voice, that will push their aspirations. In a hopeless situation, PDP ought to be given the Nigerians hope. Because when it becomes hopeless and there's no way to resonate hope, it leads to anarchy. When there's anarchy, jungle justice reigns. And when there's jungle justice, lawlessness prevails. So we are in a situation of political anomy in the country. And this is painful because those persons in APC have suddenly become conquistadors. They are all over the place gallivanting, thinking that they own this country, that they can speak from you and me. Whether they perform, they don't perform, they say, oh, they will rig election. So you need a formidable opposition to be able to stand them. You cannot rig election where you are unpopular. Crisis will come up. I have been in politics actively now for 24 years. And I've gone through all the wrongs. I've run a party before. I was an acting national chairman of the National Democratic Party in 2004, 2005, 2006, up to 2007 election. So nobody will preach to me about how to manage parties. And I was also a foundation member. I worked at the staff at the headquarters of PDP from formation August 31st up to 2001.
Now you painted for us a picture, a very gloomy picture about the performance of the current ruling All Progressive Congress APC the last 6 years.
Yes.
And what bothers a lot of people, or me for example, is why then are we seeing a movement of persons, state governors from your own political party, the PDP, to the APC, where, like you said, they have been quite disappointing? What is the attraction?
Well,
why are people leaving your party in drove to the APC?
Let me give you a scenario in Nigeria. Those who are defecting to APC, they are defecting for 2 or 3 reasons. Number one, they are seeking protection because of their dismal performance or acquisitive demeanor. So they are seeking protection from the ruling party. Number two, it is always it's almost like a given. When you join ruling party, you will think that they can defeat anybody. They feel that power is served a la carte in ruling parties. They don't want to struggle for it. They want to grab it and fight for it. But in our own context, PDP can fight for power if they're able to put the house together. That's another. Thirdly, is greed, political greed. APC is a party of double standard. I have been there. There's not anybody want to preach to me about APC. I was a foundation member of APC. It's a party of double standard and hypocrisy. How do I mean? On the one hand, the president will condemn PDP as being the reason and denominator of the halitosis that visited Nigeria in 16 years, using all manners of language to describe, PDP. On the other hand, when PDP leaders migrate or defect to the APC, he gives them presidential welcome address. In the villa, he receives them with open arms. If they have cases with EFCC, those cases are never visited again. I can mention a lot of them. In fact, if you mention 10 front row people in APC, they were part and parcel of those who made PDP tick in time past.
Is it like that saying that once you cross over, your sins are forgiven?
Yes, but the unfortunate thing is that in Nigeria, there are sins, but there are no sinners. You see the sins all over the place. When you accuse somebody, I tell you, what do you mean? This, that, blah, 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 blah. Nobody wants to own up to anything. There are sins all over the place. But just say you want to identify one sinner, they will say you are defaming their character. But a lot of people cannot defend their legitimate income, then they cannot defend their income, whether legitimate or otherwise. And so, for me, you can defect, no problem. But you'll be disappointed at the end of the day if you have a formidable opposition that can withstand the issues in the polity, engage Nigerians, constructively criticize, so that in the final analysis, people will say, wait, this party is saying that they can stop kidnapping, and they have come up with this policy. Don't you think it will be good? I suggested to the leadership of the PDP presently that they should let us create a shadow cabinet, where you have shadow cabinet secretary of information, secretary minister for this, shadow minister for that, shadow minister for this, so that when they invite you to talk on televisions, the professionals who have been appointed, so to speak, like an alternate government, can speak to the issues with authority. But some persons felt that Kasim Afegwa wants to take their job. You understand what I'm saying? You need economists, you need security experts, you need all manners of persons that have the cognate experience, appoint them to this position, announce them as shadow minister in this area, so that we can interrogate the APC government. Figure for figures, data for data, issue for issue, ideas for ideas. Then we juggle them before Nigerians. Let Nigerians be the ultimate decider. But when you say all of that, they will say harakiri, political harakiri. They would rather want to slaughter you, or they say somebody is sponsoring you somewhere and all of that. I have come to realize that for you to make a lot of political roadmap into governance process in this country, you need brilliant minds that understand the issues and the peculiarity of our situation. Under a COVID-19 pandemic, what did PDP do as a party? The government was sleeping. They came up and told us that they spent about 20 billion sharing to students who were at home, feeding them. You had it. So you begin to ask yourself, feeding people who are at home, how do you know their addresses? We didn't see food any being distributed. But what was PDP's response? They will just issue one dry-headed statement loaded with manners of inaccuracies, and you say that is opposition. No. When APC was going to take over government in 2015, I was part of the media setup. I was a commissioner in Edo State. We knew what we did, how to engage Nigerians with the narrative. And Jonathan was demarcated. Within a space of 6 months, Nigerians were saying anything but Jonathan. Now we have a president who is an old man. Admittedly, okay, it's an old man, who is also having health challenges. Every now and then he goes to London for medical checkup. So the country is running at the slow pace of an old man who is president over the country. We are saying that God grants him good health so that he can leave Nigeria alone in 2023. But in leaving Nigeria alone, we must collectively put our heads together, think outside the box, to generate a candidate that will help to contend with whoever the APC is going to present.
As it is, it doesn't look like your PDP is ready for anything.
Well, there are signals and signs and symptoms now of a readiness to move forward. Because if you follow the resignation and the response rate of those who are the leaders of the party, the board of trustees meeting, this one's a meeting, and all of that, you see that there is a deliberate, conscious, and sustained effort to take over the party from the hands of those who are political Lilliputian, those who have not become inactive and reactive rather than being proactive. So once all these meetings are done, governors level, board of trustee level, NEC level, NWC level, then we will now sit on a round table and say, let's generate a roadmap. My brother, you need to interact, you need to converse, you need to interrogate processes for you to come up with something that will be time tested and suit the realities on ground. As we speak, there are so many issues you can campaign with. Boko Haram, we are almost tired of Boko Haram. People are tired of report. Government even came up to say, don't report Boko Haram activities again. And banditry, as we speak, 80 students are in the forest in Niger State, taken from that school. They have not been better school. About 80 students are still in the forest.
Emir in Kaduna.
In Kaduna. All these people. And you have a government that keeps looking lost in the wilderness, not being able to, arrest this drift in our security situation. My brother, if you are not worried about what is happening in Nigeria, I am worried. And some of us are not in the culture of sending our children out of this country and say, go overseas to go and do this. No, this is our country. We must fix it. We must fix it. People die every day. I place a bet with someone. If there's any day you read newspaper that nobody has been killed, please come and take 50,000. Every other day that you have that. It is painful. Very agonizing. The presidency has become experts in issuing condolence messages, money. They are the chief mourners in the country. And we just sit back, we just watch. As an opposition party, you don't think that it is important for you to begin to generate ideas, assemble professors, intellectuals, and all of that. Let them come up with ideas and how to address this serious crisis we are in. And when I raise a point, you say I'm being sponsored by people, I'm being this, I'm being that. Why do you people shy away from responsibility? Give me PDP to run within the next 6 months.
I was just going to ask you.
Yes, I'm just telling you. Just give me PDP to run.
Will you be willing to be a part?
It's not a matter of being willing. It's about my country. And to arrest the drift, we need to engage. We need to speak out. I don't want a monologue of an opposition party or a ruling party or what have you. I want interaction. I want dialogue. You gain a lot from dialoguing in a democracy, because it's all about interaction. Where is the national consensus? Nigeria is heavily polarized, divided more than ever before. There are agitation in Southwest, agitation in Southeast. People are being killed, your own citizens. When President Buhari was campaigning for election, he went around the 36 states of the Federation. 2 years into his second term, he has not visited 5 states. He visited Lagos. He went to Daura for Salah. Where did he visit? What other state? I can't remember now. 3 states in the last 2 years. Should that be the approach? We need a president that can interact, that knows people in the various local governments in Nigeria, and can place a call to them and say, please, speak to your people for me. Stop giving us tokenism in the way of straight up money, in the way of ND program you are paying 15,000 or 30,000 that Versus Kayamo is doing. That is not governance. You need to build a financial inclusion of the artisans, of the ordinary persons, so that you can capture them into your tax net. And these are the programs that PDP had in 2019. Very, very interesting one. But the election of 2019 has come and gone. But some of us are still agonizing, because places where there are crises, they recorded 89% attendance at the election, where even bomb went off on election day in Maiduguri and Yobe State. They recorded 89% attendance. Places that were peaceful, Anambra and all that, they recorded 34% attendance. We've done all the analysis. So between you and me, you know what is happening in the country. If they think that rigging will continue in 2023, they must be joking.
Do you think, from what you have been saying, do you really think that there is more to what is happening in the PDP? Perhaps the way the party has been run in the last 6 years, so to say, do you think it's a deliberate thing to want to kill the party?
You see, it's not like being deliberate. It is just incapacity. If you cannot give what you don't have, my brother. 3 governors were leaving your party. When Grace Bent, his former senator under PDP, was leaving 2 weeks ago, You know how many governors went to Adamawa? Because they felt that she is important to them. You understand? Even though her political value may not be as highly celebrated as they painted it, but they went there. So on the side of ego, she will be happy. On the side of recognition, she will be happy.
Yes.
So when you have the leadership that just feel 2-3 people, let's go and discuss with that governor. He shouldn't go, he shouldn't do this. No. If I am a chairman of a party such as PDP, I will lead the entire NWC to go to any state governor who wants to leave me and try to convince them. And make sure that it is well reported in the media. So that when the party leaves, we'll know. And when they are leaving, as a party, you ought to have developed a communication tool that will put pay to further defections. I won't tell you what I will have said so that they will not steal it. You understand? You put pay to it. By the time you come out with a communication tool, you'll be able to tell Nigerians exactly what these people are looking for and give them a particular name. So anybody who is leaving, that name will be called. They will be called as that particular name. A lot of people have left. We have senators have left from 47. We are now back to 37. House of Reps, 111 out of 360. We are just a minority, kind of, anywhere. You know, the balance is too skewed in favor of the ruling party at a time when government is being castrated by its own incompetence and incapacity.
Now, where do you think that leaves the Nigerian people? A ruling party that is not living up to expectation and an opposition that is asleep.
You see, there are deprivations, suffering, poverty, unemployment, armed banditry, insecurity, kidnapping. Name them. We can't even go to farms. You are doing a program, beautiful program of the CBN anchor borrowers where they give loans. But if you get loan and you can't access the farm, how do you use your loan? So in any country, if you don't get your security architecture right, investors cannot come. What has changed between the economy of 2015 and now is simply the attitude and the body language of Mr. President. And that body language is such that when he took over government, he couldn't come up immediately with his economic policy or economic direction. So portfolio investors took away their money and went somewhere. When you wait 6 months before you form a cabinet, it will cripple the economy. Were you not buying yam in 2015? Are there not still yam now? So what has changed? But your approach to economic direction, policies, and what have you, is the reason why our naira has gone to this level. Just by a single policy of CBN, shutting down the what do you call it, BDC, yes, and saying they should go through the commercial bank. You see, there's some level of sanity now in terms of money laundering and illicit transfer of money. Everybody is cautious now. That's a thinking policy. You get my point? Yeah. So Nigerians are at the receiving end of government's incompetence, incapacity, underperformance, and being unable to understand the dynamics of our contemporary world. You need a leadership that can interrogate processes, a leadership that can connect with us, visit places. Why do you have to be fighting in Southeast and the president does not find it expedient, urgent, to go to Southeast and sit down with leaders and discuss Nigeria? You can't force people to stay in a country, but you can engage them and convince them beyond reason why they have to stay in the country. But if your attitude is that of disdain, displaying some level of magisterial dominion, and thinking that you are the president of the country, nobody can talk to you. No, you cannot talk to me like that. You are disrespecting the father and all of that. Who says children cannot disobey fathers who are not giving the right advice? Who says? No. So this is where we are. It's not a totally helpless situation. With present movements, in PDP, I think we are still going to gain from the APC. APC is going to also implode, whether you like it or not. They have different factions in APC. They are going to implode, my brother. this you are seeing the issue of
how imminent.
No, just watch. You are seeing the congresses they did. Virtually every state has problem. You are seeing altercation between Professor Skayamo, the Honorable Minister of State. Is it labor and productivity now?
In Kwara State as well.
Everywhere there are so many places. There are crises. You see the Supreme Court minority judgments that talks about the issue of dual positions for executive governor. And I saw some lawyers trying to twist the logic. No, you can't twist the logic of that.
But if you don't get your own acts together in PDP, you can't gain from this.
That is what I'm saying. And I'm telling you that there are movements already to get our acts together. We are going to come out stronger. People are thinking that we're going to come out stronger because we are doing self-interrogation. And that self-interrogation must be seen in the light of positive direction to the emerging scenarios that will factorize the politics of 2023.
Now, speaking about these movements that we are currently seeing, the Board of Trustee meeting, governors of PDP meeting to try and see what they can do to resolve the situation on ground. What is the barest minimum you think or you are expecting from the BOT to do at this time?
The BOT is predominantly populated by persons who are part and parcel of the formation of the PDP. So the ownership of the party in terms of participation is mostly, deposited within the ambits of the BOT, and their position is purely advisory. But they can give advice to the extent that the NEC will take a decision, because some of them are also members of NEC, and they can advise, accordingly. So I'm hoping, given the stature of the men in the BOT, given their age, given their experience, given their capacity to arrest situations like this, in no time, maybe in another 1 month, you will begin to see a new thinking in PDP. At least one thing is sure now. The PDP leadership, including Prince Uche Sekodus, now realizes that there's a need for them to engage. Before, they were operating like a father figure. Oh, we are the fathers. You people are servants. As a member of a party, I reserve the right to be consulted on issues or decisions that you want to introduce. I am not just a member, I'm a stakeholder. I have served in the highest decision-making body of a government in the state level. So I have my own experience. I have run party and I've become the highest position national chairman of a party. I have experience. So my point is, whatever you are doing, we are not doing it for ourselves. I'm living comfortably, I'm contented with my little resources. It's not about me. It's about the future of this country. How should we play our politics to the point that we will be able, to leave legacies that will speak for us when we are not there, that will affect the common man, the ordinary man on the street. What are we doing to even ameliorate their problems? They say Nigeria is the poverty capital of the country. They say Nigeria is headquarters of what do you call it? The recent unemployment 33%. That is not sustainable, my brother. For a third world country where productivity is almost near zero, you can't do that. Everything is about oil, agriculture, herders and kidnappers are taking over.
Before I let you go, let me quickly ask you this question so that you can possibly have an opportunity to clear the air. How many times have you been suspended from the PDP in the last 2 years? And have you served out your last? Because I can wait, let me finish. Yeah. Because I'm sure as people, some of our viewers are watching us now, probably will be asking, this man is under suspension. Why is he talking about PDP?
I am not under any suspension. Please get your facts right. 2020, when they imposed Governor Obaseki on us as part of the leadership
in Edo State,
as part of the leadership alitosis of the Secondus-led NWC, I raised alarm and I told myself openly, I don't like pretenses, I'm very blunt, openly that I will support Obaseki, and I worked for the APC candidate. No apologies, and I was able to deliver my community of Okpela to the APC. I am happy so that it will serve as deterrent. In future, you must consult people when you want to impose candidates on them. That's one. They gave me 1 month suspension, which lapsed out September 2nd last year. About 3 months ago this year, because I started this issue of Secondus must go, They also, the chairman of the party, as Dr. Adegbemi, said he woke up one morning having had a dream, and maybe perhaps he saw which is secondus in his dream, and said, Kasim Afegbo suspended, wrote a letter to the headquarters. That is not the procedure. I reserve to be queried. You write a letter to me, querying me, and setting up a disciplinary committee to look at the issues. It's carefully stated in section 57, section 456 of the PDP constitution. And I either appear in person or I send my lawyer. Then if you find that my explanation is not germane enough, before you take a decision, my ward must be involved, my local government must be involved. So when he did that, my ward executive met and said no, they disowned the expulsion. My local government executive met, they disowned the expulsion. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm a bona fide foundation member of the PDP. All those who are using this issue of suspension expulsion to paper the issues I'm raising are either intellectually hollow or do not understand, the dynamics of contemporary politics. What is sacrosanct in every citizen is the ability to vote. That's your franchise. It's an inalienable right that you cannot take away from me.
Thanks for checking out SYMFONI on YouTube. Please be sure to subscribe and like our videos for updates.